The forgotten sentinel, the Kepler drift, stretched endlessly through space like a cosmic cemetery. Twisted metal hulks drifted in the void, telling stories of battles fought and lost centuries ago. Captain Zixra Molthan guided her salvage vessel through the debris field with practiced ease, her forearms dancing across the control panels. The Vorthan's purple skin gleamed under the bridge lights as she studied the scanner readings. Another profitable run, she muttered, her mandibles clicking with satisfaction. The drift always provided good salvage. Most species avoided this cursed place, but the Vorthans were practical. Dead ships meant valuable resources, and resources meant survival in the Outer Rim. Dr. Keshtavorn looked up from her research station, her large compound eyes reflecting the scanner displays. As the galaxy's leading expert on extinct civilizations, she found the drift fascinating rather than frightening. "Captain, I'm detecting something unusual in Sector 7. The metal composition doesn't match any known species." Chief Engineer Braxel snorted from his position at the engineering console. His thick, rocky hide made him look like a living boulder. Probably just another merchant vessel. The drift's full of them. Despite his dismissive words, his massive fingers moved across his controls, running detailed scans. Zixtra's interest peaked. Unknown materials meant unknown value. Put it on the main screen. The view screen flickered to life, showing a massive object embedded deep within a cluster of asteroids. At first glance, it looked like just another piece of debris. But as the image enhanced, details emerged that made the crew fall silent. The ship was enormous, easily twice the size of that salvage vessel. Its hull was a dark grey color, scarred by countless impacts and energy burns. Strange angular lines ran along its surface, and weapon ports dotted its sides like sleeping eyes. Most unsettling of all, it seemed to absorb light rather than reflect. "It, by the void," Zixra whispered. "What is that thing?" Keshta's tentacles writhed with excitement as she analyzed the readings. "The design is completely foreign. Wait, the hull markings. I've seen this script before. In the archives of the Great Library." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "This is a Terran vessel." The bridge went dead silent. Every species in the galaxy knew about the Terrans, though most considered them myth. The mysterious humans who had supposedly ruled vast territories before vanishing without a trace. Some said they had transcended physical existence. Others claimed they had been wiped out by an ancient enemy, but proof of their existence was nearly impossible to find. "Terrans are extinct," Braxel rumbled. "Have been for 4 centuries. "Yet there it is," Keshta replied, her voice filled with wonder. "A genuine human warship. This could be the archaeological find of the millennium." Zixra's practical mind was already calculating profits. Ancient or not, it's salvage now. "Braxel, what are the readings?" The engineer's massive fingers worked the controls. No energy signatures. No life signs. The thing's been dead for centuries by the look of it. Atmospheres long gone. Systems are cold. Just a very expensive piece of scrap metal. Can we board it? The hull's intact in most places. We could dock at what looks like a cargo bay. But, "Captain, I don't like this. That ship's been floating here for 400 years, and nothing's disturbed it. There might be a reason for that." Zixra's mandibles clicked in annoyance. "Superstition doesn't pay the bills, Braxel." "Keshta, what's your assessment?" The scientist's excitement was palpable. If this truly is a Terran vessel, the historical value alone would be immeasurable. Their technology was supposedly generations ahead of anything we have now. Even dead systems could teach us incredible things. Then we board it. Zixra's decision was final. Prep the docking tube. Full environmental suits for everyone. 2 hours later, the 3 crew members stood in the alien ship's cargo bay. Their suit lights cut through the darkness, revealing a space that felt both familiar and utterly foreign. The proportions were wrong for most species, clearly designed for beings roughly human-sized. Strange markings covered the walls and equipment, sat in neat rows as if the crew had simply stepped out for a moment. The preservation is remarkable, Keshta observed, running her scanner over a nearby console. The vacuum has kept everything in perfect condition. Braxel stayed close to the docking tube, his weapon ready. Too perfect. Ships this old should be corroded hulks. This thing looks like it was abandoned yesterday. They moved deeper into the vessel, following corridor after corridor. The ship's interior was a maze of passages, chambers, and levels. Emergency lighting strips ran along the walls, dark and lifeless. Occasionally, they would pass viewports showing the star-filled void outside. The design is incredibly sophisticated, Keshta noted, studying the architecture. Multiple redundant systems, modular construction, adaptive layouts. This ship was built for long-term operation in hostile environments. They discovered crew quarters, laboratories, weapon storage, and engineering sections. Everything was in perfect order, as if the crew had simply vanished. But there were no bodies, no signs of struggle or damage inside the ship. It was as if everyone had simply ceased to exist. Where is everyone? Zixra wondered aloud. Maybe they evacuated, Brack suggested, though he didn't sound convinced. It was Keshta who found the first clue. In what appeared to be the ship's library, she discovered a data terminal that still held a charge. The screen flickered to life when she approached, displaying text in the angular human script. "I can read some of this," she said excitedly. "It's a ship's log. The vessel is called the Meridian's Edge. It was, oh my, it was a prototype Guardian ship." "Guardian of what?" Zixra asked. The translation is unclear, but it mentions something about the Watchers and the long vigil. There are references to an ancient enemy, something that threatened all life in the galaxy. They pressed deeper into the ship, following a wide corridor that led toward what had to be the command center. The doors were massive, made of some dark metal that seemed to absorb their light. Strange symbols were carved into the surface, and a soft blue glow emanated from the cracks. "The command center," Zixra breathed. "If there are any answers, they'll be in there." Braxel examined the door controls. "The mechanism is unlike anything I've seen. It's not just electronic. There's something else, like it's waiting for something." "A key," Keshta suggested. "Or a person," Braxel replied grimly. As they studied the door, Keshta noticed something else. A small alcove beside the entrance, barely visible in the shadows. Inside was a handprint scanner, clearly designed for human hands. But below it was something else, a small crystal that pulsed with faint light. "What if it's not locked?" she said suddenly. "What if it's sleeping?" Before anyone could stop her, she pressed her hand against the scanner. The crystal flared to life, and suddenly the entire ship trembled. Deep in its hull, something stirred. Systems that had been dormant for centuries suddenly flickered with power. Lights began to activate throughout the ship, casting an eerie glow through the corridors. The massive door began to slide open with a sound like thunder. "What did you do?" Braxel demanded. "I don't know," Keshta replied. her voice filled with awe and terror. Beyond the door lay the command center, a vast chamber filled with controls, displays, and monitoring stations. But in the center of it all was something that made them all freeze in shock. A single chair, clearly designed for a human, sat in the middle of the room. And in that chair, surrounded by a soft blue glow, sat a figure in what appeared to be some kind of stasis suit. The being was clearly human, tall and lean, with short dark hair and weathered features. Most shocking of all, a faint light on the suit's chest panel pulsed steadily. By the void, Zixra whispered, "It's alive." The ship continued to come alive. Around them, panels lit up, displays activated, and somewhere in the depths of the vessel, they could hear the hum of power systems warming up. The human in the chair remained motionless, but the light on the chest panel pulsed faster now. "We need to leave," Braxel said urgently. "Now." But as they turned to run, the massive doors slammed shut. The ship's lights brightened, and suddenly, a voice filled the air. Not a voice they could hear, but one that seemed to speak directly into their minds. Unauthorized presence detected. Initiating security protocols. Guardian activation sequence beginning. The human's eyes snapped open. When giants rise, Admiral Sarah Chen had been dreaming of Earth. Not the Earth she remembered, scarred by war and dying under alien skies, but the Earth of her childhood. Green fields, blue oceans, and a sun that warmed instead of burned. She had been dreaming of home when the ship woke her up. Her eyes opened to find 3 alien faces staring at her in terror. Her hand moved instinctively to her sidearm, but the ship's voice spoke in her mind before she could draw it. "Guardian Chen, you have been in emergency stasis for 412 years, 7 months, and 16 days. Unknown entities have boarded the Meridian's edge. They do not appear hostile, but they have activated restricted systems." Sarah's mind reeled as the ship's reports flooded through her neural link. 400 years, the war was over. One way or another, it was over. "Status report, Meridian," she said aloud, her voice hoarse from centuries of disuse. The ship's AI materialized as a hologram beside her chair. Meridian appeared as a tall, elegant woman with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. She had been Sarah's partner for over a decade before the long sleep. "All primary systems are operational. The ship has suffered no critical damage during the drift period. However, I have detected massive changes in galactic civilization. The Terran Empire no longer exists. Most human settlements have been abandoned or destroyed. We appear to be the last active Guardian vessel." Sarah's heart sank, but she pushed the grief aside. There would be time for mourning later. She turned her attention to the 3 aliens who stood frozen in her command center. "You understand, Standard?" she asked them. The purple-skinned one, with 4 arms, nodded slowly. We didn't know. We thought the ship was dead." "Most of it was," Sarah replied, standing slowly. Her body ached from the long sleep, but the ship's medical systems were already flooding her bloodstream with nutrients and stimulants. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen, commander of the Guardian vessel Meridian's Edge. You are aboard a military vessel of the Terran Empire. State your purpose." The rock-like alien stepped forward protectively. "We're salvagers. We found your ship in the drift. We didn't know anyone was still alive. The drift." Sarah looked at Meridian's hologram. "The Kepler drift," the AI explained. "A ship graveyard on the edge of what was once Terran space. We have been drifting here for centuries, waiting. Waiting for what? For them to return. Sarah felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. Meridian, show me the tactical display. The command center's main screen came to life, showing a three-dimensional map of local space. What Sarah saw made her blood run cold. The familiar constellations were there, but something was wrong. Dark spots marked where entire star systems should have been, and at the edge of the display, moving slowly but steadily inward, was a formation of ships she recognized all too well. The Devourers, she whispered. The insectoid aliens who had swept through the galaxy like a plague, consuming entire worlds and leaving nothing but empty space behind. The enemy that had driven humanity to create the Guardian program in the first place. Guardian, Meridian said quietly, they have been advancing for the past 50 years. 17 worlds have already fallen. At their current rate of expansion, they will reach the core systems within a decade. Sarah turned to the three aliens. What species are you? I am Captain Zixra Molfen, Vorthan Salvage Corps. The purple-skinned one replied. This is Dr. Keshtavorn, a scientist and chief engineer, Braxel. The Vorthans, Sarah nodded. We knew your people. You helped evacuate civilian populations during the first Devourer incursion. Your species is honorable. The first incursion. Keshta stepped forward, her compound eyes wide. You mean they've been here before? 400 years ago, Sarah explained. They came from beyond the rim, consuming everything in their path. The Terran Empire led a coalition of species to fight them. We developed the Guardian program as a last resort. What happened to them? Zixra asked. We stopped them, barely. The cost was ... everything. Every Guardian ship, every crew member, every resource the Empire had, we pushed them back beyond the rim and set up a perimeter to watch for their return. Sarah gestured to the tactical display. This ship, the Meridian's Edge, was the last Guardian vessel. Our mission was to maintain the watch, to warn the galaxy if they ever came back. The crew volunteered to enter stasis, taking turns to monitor the sensors. But you're the only one left, Braxel observed. The others died in their sleep over the centuries, Meridian explained. System failures, age, the gradual breakdown of the stasis pods. Admiral Chen's pod was the most advanced, designed to last indefinitely if necessary. Sarah felt the weight of centuries pressing down on her. Her crew, her friends, her entire civilization, all gone while she slept. But the mission remained. Meridian, what's our current operational status? All weapon systems are online. Shields are at maximum. The quantum drive is charged and ready. However, Admiral, we are one ship against a fleet that has had centuries. To grow stronger, then we'll have to be very clever, Sarah said with a grim smile. She turned to the aliens. I'm going to give you a choice. You can take your ship and run. Get as far from here as possible and hope the Devourers don't find you. Or you can stay and help me stop them. Stop them. Zixra's mandibles clicked nervously. You're talking about fighting an entire fleet. I'm talking about doing what Guardians do, Sarah replied. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. The Devourers aren't just coming for one system or one species. They're coming for everything. Every world, every life, every hope for the future. Keshta stepped forward. What can we do? We're just a salvage crew. You can help me understand what the galaxy has become, Sarah said. You can serve as my eyes and ears. And you can help me coordinate with whatever defenses still exist. The ship suddenly shuddered, and alarms began to sound. Meridian's hologram flickered with urgency. Guardian, We have incoming vessels. Devourer scout ships, 3 of them. They must have detected our activation. Sarah moved to the command chair, her hands flying over the controls. The ship responded like a living thing, systems that had been dormant for centuries coming online with perfect precision. Battle stations, she ordered. Meridian, prepare for combat. The 3 aliens watched in awe as the ship transformed around them. Panels slid away to reveal weapon controls. The deck plates shifted to provide better footing, and the air filled with the hum of charging energy weapons. Guardian, Meridian said, the enemy ships are broadcasting a signal. They're calling for reinforcements. Then we end this quickly, Sarah replied. Meridian, initiate Protocol 7. Protocol 7. The AI asked with surprise. Admiral, that protocol is designed for multiple Guardian vessels operating in coordination. Then we'll have to improvise. The Meridian's edge suddenly erupted with light. Energy cascaded along its hull as weapon systems that had been theoretical. When the ship was built finally came online, the ship didn't just move through space, it seemed to bend space around it. The 3 Devourer scout ships were fast and deadly, their organic-looking hulls bristling with bioweapons, but they had never faced a Guardian vessel at full power. The first ship simply vanished as a quantum torpedo rewrote the space it occupied. The second tried to flee, but the Meridian's edge caught it with a gravity beam and crushed it like an insect. The third ship managed to fire a single shot before Sarah's returned fire turned it into expanding plasma. By the void, Braxel whispered. What is this ship? This ship is hope, Sarah replied. Meridian, broadcast on all frequencies. Universal distress signal. Tell them the Guardians have returned. As the message spread across the galaxy, Sarah turned to her unlikely allies. You wanted to know what we can do. We're going to remind the galaxy that humanity doesn't give up. We're going to show them that some things are worth fighting for. And if we fail, Zixra asked. Sarah's eyes blazed with determination. Then we fail fighting. But we won't fail. The Devourers think they've won because they outlasted us. They think time is on their side. But they don't understand humans. We don't just fight for victory. We fight for the future. The Meridian's edge turned toward the advancing darkness, its weapons charged and ready. Behind it, across the galaxy, other ships began to respond to the signal. The species that had inherited the stars were preparing to defend them. Sarah Chen, the last Guardian, was no longer alone. And the galaxy was about to learn that some lights never go out, no matter how long the darkness lasts. In the depths of space, an ancient enemy was about to discover that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their refusal to surrender, their determination to protect others, and their willingness to sacrifice everything for the future. The Guardian was awake. The watch was ending. The real fight was about to begin.